Come on in, welcome to my home. Today is our July garden tour, or I should say my July plant tour. And I will show you what's doing well and what's doing not so well. And I do have a few things that are doing not so well, if not dead. Let's start this off outside, because what I found is that Mom's flowers on her porch and in her area, some of them look really well, some of them were attacked by deer. Yeah, like hideously, viciously attacked by deer. They were doing really well till the deer hit, so let's start over there. There are some things that I've learned. One of the things that I've learned is I don't like forget-me-nots. I just don't think that they're pretty. I think they look weedy. Or I've done something wrong with them, which is probably the case. But the front area right there by her entryway, I sort of like that with the salvia, the petunias. I don't really like the forget-me-nots. The pink petunia needs to be moved because it's not getting enough water or air. It's being crowded out. But this is July, so I mean we're going to start seeing a steady decline suddenly because we go from really hot to fall. I mean, that's what we do here. There is a rose over in the corner which had a, let's just say the rose was trimmed when it shouldn't have been trimmed, but that's a whole other issue. Now let's talk about her porch. Okay, the big container on her porch that's filled with petunias, the one set of petunias, I think it's, I'll put the name of it on there. It has chlorosis, which means that it's iron deficient, so I am giving it chelated iron, chelated iron I do believe, which will help it get the nutrients so it won't have that yellowish tint to the leaves, but it's doing really, really well. The petunia underneath her porch table is doing really well. The campfire petunia is dead. I do not know what happened. I don't know if it got too little water, too much water. I don't know. It got the same water as the one underneath it, but it didn't. It just died. I need to take that out and replace it with something. I think what's growing in the pot right now are weeds, but if they're pretty, we might let them grow. Then going past that, this is where we ran into deer problems. So for whatever reason, the deer seem to love the petunias. They all looked really nice until the deer started eating them. Not only did they start eating them, they started ripping them out of the pots. So I've been trying to put them back in, but they're not coming back well. Everything has been fed. I feed the plants liquid fertilizer once a week, and that's been doing really well. I mean, it takes a little time to do it, but all the annuals get the liquid fertilizer, and that makes things go much, much better. The other petunias, they look okay, they look nice. The rose on the end, which had, just before I went to take the video and pictures of it today, looked really well until a deer started munching on it. Now I need to clean up the rose heads that were left on it, but it looks okay. Now we come to my porch. On my porch I have a pepper plant and a cherry tomato. The cherry tomato is fruiting some. I did have a small harvest earlier on in the week, or on the weekend, but the cherry is doing well. I have had to tie up the branches? Yeah, branches of the cherry tomato simply because they've gone everywhere. I should have been keeping up on that. This year I have been doing a little bit better about pruning, like the cherry tomatoes and the basil and those sort of things, but that's one of my hardest things. It's so hard for me to prune things because I just feel like I'm doing something bad and mean to the plant, but I'm not. I'm actually doing something good for the plant. But the cherry tomato looks pretty good. It still is on the same watering system as the other one, so I do these by turning on the garden hose, and then they all have irrigation system, which you've seen that video before. If you haven't, click that card. It will take you to the irrigation system day, but it is run that way. I do not have my irrigation system set up on any sort of wireless thing, simply because I want to be able to check it. If I know me, if I have it on a wireless system or if it's automatic, it'll kick on and I won't go check it, and then we could have blowouts or something weird happening. This way, every time I turn it on, I can walk the lock the system, and make sure that everything is being watered fine. Then on the other side of the porch, we do have the Roma tomato and the basil. The Roma tomato is just taking over everything. There are 2 basil plants in there. You can't really tell it, but there are 2 basil plants in there. And then we also have the lemongrass. In front of that, we had what I thought was dead. I thought the rosemary in front of that was absolutely dead. It's not. It's coming back. What I think I was doing is I was watering it too much. So it might come back. We'll see. I'll nurse it. I'll limp it along. And then I have the aloe in front of my porch table. That doesn't look too bad. I mean, that doesn't look too bad. And once again, that was the cutting from the big aloe. I don't know if you remember that, but I have a pot of aloe, which we'll see, that's in my office, that is just humongous. And it has billions of little aloe plants in it. And that it was leaning and everything because it was so top heavy. I took the top off of that and put it into a pot. That is the top of that, and it seems to be doing well. So let's come inside, and we'll do this in the way that would make the most sense. We'll start off in my bedroom where I have a pothos. The pothos it's been growing in that thing really nicely, and what I do is every week I water it and I rotate it a quarter of a turn so that way it'll get more bushy. It does have a pole in the center of it so that way it can grow up on it, but I'd rather have it more bushy and have it wind around itself than have it climb and go everywhere. The new addition is the aloe, which is on my dresser. That aloe is just one of the babies from the aloes that I repotted. You'll notice that in the office when we get to it, there's an aloe, new pot for an aloe. That was one of those that was in there with that. It seems to be doing okay. I have another plant on my dresser, chest of drawers. It is doing okay. It sort of likes the sun there. I'm happy with what it's doing. Now we'll come in here. I do have a Christmas cactus, which is right over there. It looks like it's getting ready to start blooming. You see the pink tinge around the leaves. And this is new. Hanging on that wall, those are new. I just got those pots this weekend. They are pots where you can plant right into the pot. Right now I have not done that. That'll probably be coming up later on in a video where you can plant them. They do have a water reservoir so that the water can pour into there, and then they'll have a string which will then bring the water up to the plant. Right now they're just in white plastic pots that they had been repotted into because I did a lot of repotting. I took a lot of the cuttings that I had and potted those up into smaller plants, including things like the pothos, and then I also repotted basil, mint, and those were literally from cuttings, and that was the cool thing. Oh yeah, I also have, what I've also repotted was a lemon balm that was repotted into those, and so I just started the cuttings off, then once they got so much root system on, I then put them into pots, and now they're growing in pots, including the spider plants. But I'm jumping ahead, aren't I? Let's go into the office now. In the office, you will notice that there are plants. So starting with the spider plant that's over against the wall, spider plant looks like it's doing pretty well. Most of the office plants are on 2 separate watering systems. The first one is for the cacti kind of plants, the plants that need the least amount of water. The second one is for the herbs and those sort of plants which need more water. Not every plant is on either one of those systems, simply because I have found that the one system that I have the herbs on, it is really weird to control. You have a choice between either watering every 12 hours or every 24 hours for 15, 20, 30 minutes. I don't want to do any of those. I want to water mine like when I want to for about 5 minutes. So that's right, you can do 5 minutes. So I do have it set up so that I control it. I turn it on and off when I want to water it. I can honestly say the other system is my favorite. I'll show you up on screen now. The other system is part of the things that I get to test out from Amazon. So while it is not a sponsored video, I did get the product for free to test out, and I found that I really like it. I can control how often it waters as long as it's within 7 days. So I can do once a week or once every 2 or 3 days. And I can also control for how long it waters. The system is really easy to set up. It's just a bunch of tubing with these little drip irrigation things which go into the soil. If you need to add anything to that, it's just a simple snip, do a T connector, put your connector in, and there you go. I really, really like that one, except for it is loud. I mean, that thing is really, really loud. Don't like that much. They do have containers which hold the water. So I have 2 1-gallon containers that hold the water that they then pump out of, which is really nice, because the cool part about this is I can easily feed them by putting the plant food into those containers. Then when it runs, it can feed that way. And as I've said, there are several plants in there that are not on that system, including my bonsai garden. Okay, let's talk about the bonsai garden. So when I got the plants for the bonsai garden, which also was another one of those things that I could test out, it seems like a really cool idea, and all the pictures show you the bonsai plants, and they don't really show you. They show you bonsai trees and these things, and if you notice, no. They give you seeds. So you start growing the seeds. I had 5 different plants to grow. 2 sets of them they just died. They just never, I can't even say they died. They never came up. They are grown in these burlap / plastic liner pots? Bags? Bags would be the better thing. And you can water those and they can grow. Do I think this is going to work? I do have, 3 sets of the plants up. Couldn't tell you right now off the top of my head what they are, but that's simply because I know the wisteria is one of them because it's the one which is growing the most. But the reason I can't tell you what they are is because this whole thing is to grow bonsai. Bonsai trees can take 20, 30, 40 years. There are people who've had them for tons, and they take a lot of work. You aren't going to invest a lot of time and a lot of work to grow something like that. So if you think you're going to grow it from a plant, now I have seen several videos where they've taken, like bushes and then turned them into bonsai. It still takes a lot of work, but I think that's more practical and manageable to try thinking that you're going to be able to grow it from a seed. Yeah, okay, anyway. What else is in there? Oh, I also have my avocado, which you probably saw that short. Maybe, maybe not. Click that eye to catch that one. I've had an avocado tree before. It got, something happened to it, so I cut it down, restarted it. So this is an avocado seed that has not sprouted yet. I did find that sprouting an avocado seed in dirt is much easier than doing the whole water method. Don't know why, couldn't explain that to you because I myself am not a professional gardener. You probably realize that. So it is growing, it has just been sprouted or just been put into the dirt. I think it's going to take like a month or 2 before it finally sprouts, and when it does, you can follow along with this. But what's interesting about this is part of the reason the outside plants look the way they do is we've had the weirdest year ever. So at the beginning, spring, which I guess you'd call it spring, was really, really cold. And I mean, it was super, super cold. Then when it just went from cold to hot. Then it was super, super hot. And we are in that super hot part now. Like right now, the reason I'm not doing this outside, it is about 10 o'clock in the morning and it is 85 degrees outside. Yay! So, and then we've had, as you know from my previous videos, we've had the smoke from the Canadian wildfires, which prevented me from really going outside and doing much. And I so feel sorry for everybody who was affected by that, because it had me down for a long time, and I was super sick. And I'm here in the Midwest. I can't imagine what anybody else was going through. So my heart goes out to everybody who was affected by that. So that was a thing. Then this week, we have gotten a lot of rain, and I mean a lot of rain. In fact, today is the first mostly sunny day that we've had in about a week. So that's been really interesting. But the thing that I've found is I am absolutely loving working on these plants and spending my time with them. And if you find something that you enjoy, go with it. Have fun with it. I am learning so much, and I'm going to be starting a journal, which I keep saying I'm going to start, but I never do. But I'm going to write down the journal so that way I can keep track of my observations, what I'm doing with the plants, so that way I can refer back to this and figure out what works and what doesn't work. And it will also let me know what things I want to repeat next year, like the super petunias. Absolutely going to repeat those. The petunia that was under Mom's porch, I grew that from seed. It did really well, but there were 10 seeds, only one of them grew. So might not do that again. Campfire, not going to do that again. I do miss the sweet potatoes from last year, because the sweet potato vines I think look really nice. Mom didn't like them because they took over. Now here's something interesting. I think, this is really controversial for me, I think next year I'm going to add flowers to my porch area, simply because I don't think I have enough pollinators coming to my tomatoes to pollinate them the way I want them to. So I think I'm going to add flowers, which, if you know anything about me, and you can tell just by looking around here, I really don't have flowers growing anywhere, because I'm not a big flower fan unless it's like lavender or roses. I do like those, and the spring tulips, daffodils, but I'm not a big flower fan. So, that being said, I will add some flowers so that way I can get the pollinators in. But it's really nice to take care of something, watch it grow. I am going to be doing pruning on my indoor herbs. It's going to probably kill me. There'll be tears. But I need to, and so I'm studying up on how to get those so that they grow really well. Right now I have a fungus gnat problem. I do have fungus gnat traps coming, sticky traps, coming in. But that is something. I love this. This is so much fun. Well, let me know what you think about my garden tour, and what do you know that I could be doing differently so that my plants will grow really well. If you're wondering what I feed my tomatoes, I do feed them plant tone. Yeah, the plant, so the tomato, the peppers, the outside herbs have plant tone. I do not do that inside, because plant tone has a garden fertilizer smell. Inside the house, not so cool. So yeah, inside the house they do get liquid fertilizer. Outside the house they get plant tone. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. I'd like to take this time to thank these wonderful people who let me grow plants, and they encourage me to keep this channel going. This is one of my fun things that I love to do. I love sharing these things with you. They get a weekly video where they get more in-depth things about what I'm doing, what's going on behind the scenes. If you want to become part of the Patreon neighborhood or become a channel member, you'll get the weekly videos and you get early access to these videos. So that's always something fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope I get to see you again the next time you stop by.